Hi, my name is Geddie. I'm the Cloud Product Specialist at Netsync. And today we're going to talk about Netsync IO and specifically the Operate section of Netsync IO. This is an important section for most of our customers because they need to know what's going on within their AWS infrastructure. And we actually have 5 of the big pillars already automated for you. The interesting thing about AWS is that there's an API for everything. What we see is that people, they know the APIs are there, but they don't have developers to utilize the APIs or to write software because they're not in the software business. They're in the education business or the architecture business or whatever it is your organization happens to do. It turns out that Netsync, we are in the software business. And so we have taken those APIs and we've used them. And so one of the excuses that we hear a lot, and it frustrates me and I think a lot of the people that work with me, is that when they go to vendors and customers say to them, I would like XYZ functionality, and they know they have it, and they say, great, there's an API for that. Well, okay. Well, really what they've told them is that there's an API and go hire some developers, write some software, and then you can have it. Well, we kind of got tired of that, and so for our customers, we hired some developers, we wrote a bunch of software, and now you can have it, and all you got to do is be a customer. The first pillar is called cost optimization. We would like you to spend your money cost effectively. And so you can see we've given you a green, yellow, red dashboard here, and we aren't just saying there's something wrong, we're actually letting you drill into it. All right, when you click on it, you get to the details. And we don't just say, so here in this case, we've shown that there are some low utilization Amazon EC2 instances, and we actually we're actually paying for an unassociated elastic IP address. In the AWS world, you can have as many elastic IP addresses as you want, as long as they're associated to something in use. They normally don't cost you anything. What you don't want to do is be holding on to elastic IPs that you're not using because Amazon does charge for those. So we can actually go in here and say, look, not only have we identified that you've got this thing that's costing you some money, but we're telling you exactly what it is that you need to do, what those IP addresses in this case are, and we're telling you how to fix it. And so this is really important because essentially there's software that's out there that's available that you have to pay a lot of money to be able to give you this information, and just being part of Netsync IO, you get to have that. We think it's something that all of our customers should have. Why wouldn't we help them spend their money more cost effectively here? Probably the one that everyone is most interested in is security. So you probably have security software today that monitors your traditional infrastructure. We actually find that a lot of the security incidents that happen, they happen with kind of the low-hanging fruit, like the 80 or 90% of things like turning on your firewall, configuring your firewall correctly, making sure passwords are reset, things like this. We find that a lot of organizations, if they're going to get hit, they're not going to get hit by some very advanced malware. Usually what happens is they got hit by malware and it was because they had weak passwords or because they had a firewall that wasn't configured correctly. These sorts of things that can be easily taken care of, and we actually are now monitoring for all of those things. So you can see in this example, we actually are telling this particular example customer that there are security groups. So in the AWS world, just so you know, security group is similar to a firewall setting where you can configure rules that allow traffic in and out. And in this case, it's identified a security group that's allowing all traffic. Now that is synonymous to taking your firewall and just saying, well, just let everything in. And that's not good. And so we've identified that and we've told you exactly how to fix it and exactly which resource that is in AWS that needs to be fixed. And all of this information is actually available in the AWS cloud through an API. So we've taken that API, made it easy for our customers to see, and so all they have to do is now click on it. Same thing here, basic security things like turning on multi-factor authentication for your root account. So for a long time, people have known that reusing your root account is not a good idea. We should be giving people normal usernames, giving them the privileges they need, and that's all, and not extra privileges. And we don't want people logging into root. It's actually an AWS best practice to just not log into their root account ever, unless you really, really need to. And then that should be done using kind of your internal processes, and there should always be 2 people involved. If you have somebody who's logging into root, they shouldn't be able to do it themselves. They should have to call someone else and say, hey, I want to log into root, give me the password. So that way, at least you've got some sort of human interference from people using the root account. In this case, what we're doing is monitoring to make sure that that happens. Because if you turn on multi-factor authentication, you can't just have somebody who knows the username and password log in and say, now I've got root. You can actually turn on MFA, and what I suggest is that you give the other party the MFA key, whether that be a soft key or a hard key, it doesn't matter, and make the person who's logging into root call them and say, give me the MFA key, I'm about to log in. At the very least, that prevents a rogue individual from logging in without having to get authorization from someone else, usually within your security department. So this is a really great thing to monitor. And then of course, we're also doing like CloudTrail logging. So in this case, there are regions that don't have CloudTrail logging on, and we've kind of done this on purpose so that we can show these examples. CloudTrail is really important. This is how we understand who's doing what within the AWS accounts and things like this. So if you don't have that turned on, it will actually show up. And it makes it easy. We even include the recommended instructions on how to turn all this on. So not only are we doing it, we're checking them, we're telling you all the things that are good and bad and indifferent, and then we're telling you how to fix them. So let me go back here. Again, we have all of this for cost optimization, fault tolerance, performance security, and service limits. So I think the last one that I'll touch on is service limits itself. So a little known fact, one of the, maybe the largest source of cases for most clouds is service limits. A lot of people, when they first start using, say, AWS, they don't realize that there are limits in place across almost every service that they have. They're not there to say that the cloud has limits. They're there to protect you, usually from spending too much money, so they're doing everybody a favor. If you need a service limit increase, it happens all the time. All you have to do is file a case and they will do it for you. There are cases where you get really, really large, say if you're a multinational company, where limits might become an issue, but it's pretty rare. We've started to monitor all those limits for you. And so again, AWS has an API. We took the API and gave it to you in a nice, easy to use graphical interface. And so rather than having to find out retroactively that a limit has been exceeded and now you've got a production problem, we actually monitor it and tell you, look, you're reaching a limit. You should put in a request. And in future versions, we actually have several customers requesting that we enable a feature that goes ahead and makes those requests for them. Now that is the thing I think that we're going to turn on and off or make available to customers. We probably won't turn it on by default, but we are going to be integrating into the support API for AWS to monitor, and when limits get to a certain threshold, go ahead and create the case for them so that this limit increase process happens automatically without you having to worry about it. We think it's a huge advantage. Okay, so that is the operate section. There's one other section I want to show you here today. It's called train, and it won't take as long, but I think it's important. It just seems like there's always a reason why training doesn't get done. And so we thought about like, what can we do? And so we came up with the train section. And what we did was we went to AWS and we said, look, our customers are saying this. We know you have a lot of great training out there. And AWS came back and said, yeah, we do. It's all over our website. All they have to do is go and use it. Most of it is, or all of it in their case, is free. We said, okay, yeah, but our customers are saying that it's hard to find because you have 200 plus services. The training is on every page. How do we find the things that we need? And what did they say? AWS said, we have an API for that. And we said, great, we have programmers. We know how to do APIs. And so we did. We actually took their API and we integrated all of their training right here on one page so that you can actually go in and just look for the things that you want to type. So if you are interested in serverless, like I am, you can actually type in the serverless or the beginnings of the word serverless, and you will actually see it find all the training that's available for serverless. And you'll see that these are actually really good trainings. Like all you have to do is click here, and it will take you directly to the page that has that training on it. And what you'll find is that a lot of the AWS training, it isn't just read this article. It is a full lab workbook. It has labs, you can log in, you can actually do things and get stuff done. And so we think that's really great training, and all of their training is at no extra cost other than if you turn things on in the AWS cloud. Like in this case, it's saying this training may cost you about 25 cents. But that's just for the resources that you might turn on for this training. And you can always turn them off. There's actually nothing on here that costs money. All of these trainings are just available, and we want to make them available. So in future versions, we are going to integrate training from paid vendors. So and we will put their training catalogs in here. So if you happen to work for a company that does have a paid vendor, we would like to know, because we'd like to be able to integrate their catalogs into this page so that you can not just see the free stuff, but also the stuff that your company is paying for. So, all right, those are the two sections, operate and train, and that's all I wanted to cover today. Again, my name is John Geddie. I work with Netsync here. Let me know if I can help you and try to show you how to use Netsync.io. Appreciate it.